Hello everybody, my name is Ninja TNT, and as you can see, we are today going to discuss the Fnaf lore. Uh, Also, warning, this was made 2 years ago, back in 2023, so a lot of it is not canon anymore because of the new games and theories, so a lot of things here are just disproven. But I'm gonna show it to you anyways. So, let us begin. The Fnaf lore. The characters, timeline, lore, and theory of Five Nights at Freddy's by Ninja TNT. Hi, today I will tell you about everything in the Fnaf timeline. The timeline will include games from Fnaf 1 to 7, Fnaf games like Fnaf World, Freddy in Space 2, and Fnaf AR, and the Fnaf books will not be added because they are not canon. Fnaf 8 and 9 will be for future Fnaf presentations. There are some mysteries that are still not answered, but I will make my own theories, which are not confirmed, and I will fix them in the future. I hope you will enjoy it. After over 70 pages, videos, memes, and 2 weeks of no sleep. So the characters, we got William Afton and Henry Emily, and William Afton's wife and their children, Michael Afton, the crying child, and Elizabeth Afton, and Henry Emily's child, Charlie Emily. And the timeline. It's gonna start at Fredbear's Family Diner, and then in 1983 at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, the first one. And in 1985 is gonna be the start of the murders or the tragedies. In 1987 is when they make the FNAF 2 location, and in 1993 is when they make the newer Five Nights at Freddy's in FNAF 1. 2023 is when FNAF 3 happens, and the story around it. And lastly, it's gonna be in FNAF 7 is going to be the last in the timeline. So the lore. Chapter 1. Fredbear's Family Diner. Part 1. William Afton. William Afton, or Billy, and Henry Emily are founders of a pizza restaurant in Hurricane, Utah, called Fredbear's Family Diner. These are mascots that would entertain children called Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. Henry would create and wear Fredbear, and William would create and wear Spring Bonnie. Part 2, Endoskeletons and Animatronics. Henry is a technician, so he decided to help the restaurant to create endoskeletons for Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. Endoskeletons are robot skeletons for the suits, so they can walk and talk, which makes them an animatronic. Henry also made a talking cupcake animatronic for William to hold when performing called Spring Cupcake. William didn't like this. He thought the humans would have more emotion than these animatronics. And besides, William was the one who had the idea that humans wear the suits. Also, the first endoskeletons, there is Endo 1 and Endo 2 and Spring Cupcake over there. Okay, and then the Springlock suits. Henry had a solution to their problem. Springlock suits. Springlock suits are made for humans and animatronics. Humans can wear them like suits and can turn into animatronic mode, which has a built-in endoskeleton. This was perfect, but William still didn't like the idea, but went on with it anyways. Springlock failures. Due to the success of Springlocks, William and Henry hired 2 workers to wear the Springlock suits. Everything was going fine, but later the locks that hold the folded endoskeletons in the Springlock suits would break. This obviously made the endoskeletons crush the 2 workers in the suits to death. This was called Springlock failures. Henry would clean it up, but they are not allowed to ever wear the suits again. Henry was okay with this, but William was sad that humans cannot wear the suits anymore. Now the souls of the workers would become Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie. because their souls died in suit. They were now being able to become ghosts. Worse, they became shadows. Shadows are a source of dark remnants. Dark remnants are negative emotions like agony and brings people back like ghosts. So yeah, there's Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy. So yeah, now we have more characters: Shadow Bonnie, Shadow Freddy, Springlock, Fredbear and Springlock Bonnie, and the 2 and the 1 and Spring Cupcake. Okay, Chapter 2: Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Part 1: Fredbear and Friends. William and Henry would make a TV show called Fredbear and Friends in 1983. The mascots are Fredbear, Freddy Fazbear, a brown variant of Fredbear, Bonnie the Bunny, a purple variant of the Spring Bonnie, Chica the Chicken with a talking cupcake that is a pink variant of the Spring Cupcake, and Foxy the Pirate Fox. They would make clothes, plushies, and many other stuff. William was sad that his character Spring Bonnie was the only one not accepted to be in the show. Henry would create a restaurant called Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria to bring the characters from the show, Fredbear, and Friends, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Cupcake, and Foxy to life in the restaurant Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria. It was all the animatronics. This still upset William. He only wanted to wear those suits they made to entertain children, not let robots take his dream job. Afton Robotics LLC. William Afton was disappointed, but he saw how interesting the animatronics were. Afton would build a lab under his own house to create Afton Robotics LLC to create animatronics. He would make Balloon Boy based on the kid on the street who always had a balloon with him. But Balloon Boy never got accepted to Fredbear's Family Diner because it didn't really fit the theme. He would work all his days down there. He didn't have time to take care of his children, so he monitors his children using security cameras all over the neighborhood. And inside his youngest child's favorite toy, psychic friend Fredbear.
He's your buddy when your brother is a jerk. He's your pal when your dad is off at work. He won't leave you when you go get a bite, at least until the 6th night. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Who you gonna call? Psychic friend Fredbear.
Okay, the Crying Child. The Crying Child is the youngest child of William Afton. He has a fear of the animatronics because he saw the Springlock failures. His oldest brother, Michael Afton, would scare his little brother with a foxy mask. Because their father is in the lab working, Michael has to take care of his younger siblings. He didn't like to take care of his younger brother, so he planned a prank with his friends on his younger brother's birthday. The Bite of 83. The happiest day for the crying child was about to happen until Michael and his friends would put his brother in the Fredbear's mouth. The crying child tears would cause the Fredbear to close its mouth, crushing the child's head. This is later known as the Bite of 83. His brother was in shock. It was just a harmless prank in the hospital. Michael would say, "I am sorry," while his psychic friend Fredbear, being controlled by William Afton, says, "You are broken, I will put you back together." William would create the puppet, a security animatronic that protects children. Later on, the soul of the crying child would possess the Fredbear suit because of his dark emotions. So a suit will eventually possess that Fredbear. Charlie Emily. The Afton family was in grief. Michael would see the Fredbear, the crying child, outside the house saying, "It's me." William had it worse. He would go to the local bars, Junior's. He would remember it was all Henry's fault. He was the one who made the Springlock suits, endoskeletons, and animatronics that ruined his dream. Henry was the one who removed Spring Bonnie from the show, and one of his stupid animatronics would kill his own son. William, being drunk, left the bar to give Henry a piece of his mind. When he got to Fredbear's Family Diner, he saw Charlie, Henry's daughter. Charlie was locked out by the other kids. Well, another problem to solve for William. But he had another idea that was so horrible that will teach Henry a lesson. He would kill Charlie. Okay, the man behind the slaughter. Charlie had been murdered and her dead body was put in the garbage. Puppet would find her, and Charlie's soul would then possess the puppet because of her very dark emotions. William and Henry would be forced to close the restaurant because 4 deaths were enough, and they had to transfer all the animatronics from Fredbear's Family Diner to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Henry was in grief, while this was the beginning of his killing spree of Purple Guy. The Nightmare Animatronics. William has completed the animatronics to scare his children to make sure they stay away from the animatronics because he lost his youngest son. There's Nightmare Freddy and his Freddles, Nightmare Bonnie, Nightmare Chica and her Nightmare Cupcake, Nightmare Foxy, Nightmare Fredbear, Nightmare Balloon Boy, Plushtrap, an inspiration of his forgotten character Spring Bonnie, and Nightmare, a black variant to Nightmare Fredbear, but scarier. They will scare Michael since he did kill his brother. Okay, so this is most of the characters so far. Okay, Chapter 3, the Tragedies. The Missing Children's Incident. After William killed Charlie, he had unleashed a monster. He wasn't done with Henry yet. Henry still had Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, so he had to plan to take everything from Henry. He would kill children in order the restaurant to close. The problem was, Henry had hired a professional security guard, Phone Guy. William would wear the old Spring Bonnie suit to bring kids to the back and kill them, and then shove their bodies in animatronics. The first kid was Susie. He shoved her body in Chica. The next children was Jeremy, Fritz, and Gabriel. Gabriel would be shoved in Freddy, Jeremy would be shoved in Bonnie, and Fritz would be shoved in Foxy. And lastly, Cassidy. William would kill one more person, Cassidy. He brutally killed her, and he kept on beating up the dead body. The rage William after the experience made him very violent. Turns out Cassidy was still alive and was twitching, begging to end the pain. William would realize she was still alive, and end her from her suffering. That kid was the one, and he should have not killed. He couldn't find any animatronic suit except for the Fredbear suit, and Cassidy would be shoved in there and possess the animatronic because of the Dark Remnant. Phone Guy saw everything but didn't know where the bodies were, and he only known a yellow bunny kidnapper. Henry would accuse William, but there was no proof. In the end, they had to close the restaurant because 5 missing children and the animatronics that smelled like dead bodies. The puppet, Charlie, would see everything and bring all the children back to life, putting each of the children's souls in the animatronics they were shoved in and gave them remnant, except Cassidy would possess the suit with the most darkest emotions. Circus Baby's Pizza World. Circus Baby Pizza World was by the company Afton Robotics LLC. William created the restaurant because he still needed a job and he wants to bring his son back to life. He would need dead kids' bodies to test on them. The way to get the bodies were by creating kidnapping animatronics that will send the bodies to Afton. The mascots are Baby, who was inspired by his daughter Elizabeth Afton, Ballora based on his wife, Funtime Freddy, Bonbon and Funtime Foxy, Minnie Babs and Minarinas. He wanted to add Funtime Chica and Music Man, but decided not to and sell them. Elizabeth Afton and Mrs. Afton. William and Mrs. Afton would have a divorce because they almost never see each other ever, because William is always working. William won his children over his wife by cheating. Later, his wife would kill herself because she has nothing and possesses Laura. On the day they first opened Circus Baby's Pizza World, many children was kidnapped by Afton, but his daughter wouldn't listen to his father and go see Baby. Baby would offer her ice cream and then kidnap her in her belly. Elizabeth would die in there, but possess Baby. William would have to close the Circus Babies Pizza World. William has lost everything. His dreams are dead, his restaurants are all closed, his daughter Elizabeth dead, his wife dead, his son, the crying child, dead, his best friend Henry, which they are no longer friends, and his toxic relationship with his son Michael Afton. He would find hope when Baby's eyes had changed into Elizabeth's green eyes. Could she have possessed it? William would try and bring his family together as robots. So, this is basically more of the characters. Okay, chapter 4. The Purple Guy. The toy animatronics. Henry had seen William make his own restaurant, so he decided to add a new restaurant based on Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria in 1987. The animatronics were based on the toys they used to sell. The animatronics are Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, Toy Foxy, Toy Cupcake, and JJ, a girl version of Balloon Boy. They would detect a predator from a long distance because Henry knew William would come back. Also, there are the Paper Pals, who were decorations, but the Shadow animatronics and Golden Freddy would control them and to watch the place for some reason. Henry would put every animatronic from the old Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria to the new one, except for Endo 1, Golden Cupcake, and Cupcake. Fun Guy would also work there, now taking the day shift. Toy Foxy would be teared into pieces by the children and poked back together multiple times by the children, becoming Mangle. The Remnant. William realized that Henry had a new restaurant and planned to kill more children to close the place down. But the animatronics could detect predators, and was Phone Guy. So William did the most unexpected thing, become the night shift guard, under the name Dave Miller, because at night the toy animatronics will turn off, and Phone Guy is at day shift. It was perfect. He would dress up in the Springlock suit and kill 5 more children. The children would possess the toy animatronics, except JJ, and possess Balloon Boy thanks to Puppet. He would also scrap the old animatronics by taking some parts of their bodies because he was confused. How did they walk around? He would come home and melt the parts into one, putting it into endoskeletons of Funtime Freddy, Funtime Foxy, the Biddy Babs, and the Minarinas. It worked. The animatronics came to life, but their acts are very violent. But William would have the power of immortality with metal combined with souls, and he would call it Remnant.
3, 1, 2. Was that the bite of 87?
The bite of 87. William would move to the day shift, and Phone Guy would be head security and tell the other security guards what to do. And they would be forced to hire a new security guard, Jeremy Fitzgerald. The animatronics from the old to new were all brutal because they all thought Jeremy was Purple Guy, or William Afton. Jeremy would survive for days understanding each animatronic's move, and Purple Guy would leave since he had nothing to do there, and Phone Guy would come back to day shift. Everything was well for Jeremy until Mangle would come out from the vents and bite the victim's frontal lobe of the brain, forcing the restaurant to close. Again. William would read this on the newspaper and realize that the bite was for him because the animatronics only wanted Afton because their souls were in there who wanted to kill the person who killed them. William would he just falls down and because his frontal lobe is bitten off. That's so funny. It's so funny, guys. Okay. Sister location. Purple Guy was far from home because he was a security guard in the new Freddy Fazbear's pizzeria. He was scared if something wrong would happen to Baby and his wife Laura. So he told the only person he can trust, his son Michael, to go to his underground lab. Michael would go to the lab with the guide of the hand unit, who was so surprised that his father had a secret lair under his own house. He would realize that all the Circus Baby, Pizza World animatronics were here. He would realize that the Nightmare animatronics were real and the baby was his sister. Now he would free the innocent animatronics from the underground lab. He would finally redeem himself after killing his brother by accident. He was the one to save them, protect them, and take care of... Oh, the scooper. Michael did save them, just the way he didn't expect it. All the Funtime animatronics would be one, called Ennard. His own sister manipulated him to free them by putting Ennard into Michael's own body, by using the scooper. Michael was still alive because they put Remnant in his body. They allowed them to be outside of the lab. But Michael's body was decaying purple. He was the new purple guy. Once Baby realized that Michael couldn't hold them anymore, they jumped out of Michael's mouth to the sewers and hid again. Michael was in agony. He smelled horrible. He looked like a walking zombie. Everyone would be afraid of him. The new purple guy. Michael would go find his father. He would go to the new Freddy Fazbear's pizzeria as a security guard, but he couldn't come in. If anyone knew that William's son would come, he wouldn't let him in. So he went under the alias as Fritz Smith. Why is there so many people called Fritz? He would tamper with the animatronics. His brother, Withered Golden Freddy, would come and say, "It's me." He still didn't understand. He couldn't find his father. And he would later be fired because he tampered with the animatronics and because he would smell like a dead corpse. Literally. The restaurant would be closed. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's going on? Whoa, whoa, oh. Okay. Oh, so this is the characters. Yeah. That's a lot. Five Nights at Freddy's. The phone guy. Henry would try and reopen the old Freddy Fazbear's pizzeria with the animatronics from Fredbear and Friends. And he redesigned them, but redesigned them, but the damage was done. The animatronics stank of death. Phone Guy was the only person Henry trusted to take guard of the restaurant. Phone Guy would record his voice on the telephone about what to do or what his favorite animatronic was, Foxy. Sadly, on his fourth night of the week, he was running out of power and the doors would open to Freddy and the animatronics that killed him like Jeremy Fitzgerald. Michael Afton. Michael would change his name to Michael Schmidt, his mother's maiden name. He would come to the restaurant to find his father, but he didn't find him. He would listen to a recorded voice of Phone Guy's death on the telephone. He would also find his brother Golden Freddy, or Fredbear, saying, "It's me," but Michael didn't understand Golden Freddy. He would leave because he was fired again because of the same thing, tampering with the animatronics and smelling disgusting. He would leave the place empty and move to a new house. I wonder why. The purple guy. Purple guy had just made it to the restaurant to take his endoskeletons of the animatronics and Endo 1 because he's running out of remnant. The shadow animatronics who works for Purple Guy like they used in Fredbear's Family Diner, Purple Guy would tell them to take Freddy and the others to him so he can take them apart and take their endoskeletons for remnant. He would use them on himself, being immortal. He wanted to bring his son back alive, so he would need more remnant. He would come back to the restaurant one more time. The Spring Trap. William would find the Fredbear suit and collect the folded endoskeletons. This would free Cassidy's soul. Cassidy would bring the other souls back as ghosts to kill him. She can do this because she was powered with dark remnants, because she was filled with negative emotions. The ghosts would come, trap Purple Guy, while Cassidy tries to capture him. Purple Guy would find the Springlock Bunny suit and wear it to scare the ghosts. This was his biggest mistake. The suit would turn into an animatronic mode because the suit was very old. He would suffer with the skeletons piercing through his skin. He was in agony, while the ghosts would leave him in pain. He wished that he would just die, but he couldn't, because of the remnant he put in his body, made him unable to die. He would later stay there, unable to move, for 30 years. So yeah, this is basically all the characters so far. Chapter 6. I always come back. The Shadow Animatronics. Baby would try to take over Ennard, but she failed and got kicked out of Ennard because becoming Scrap Baby. But Funtime Freddy would take over Ennard, becoming Molten Freddy. Meanwhile, all of the other workers of Fredbear's Family Diner would die, becoming Shadow Cupcake, Shadow Puppet, Shadow Balloon Boy. Yeah, that.
That was easier than I thought it would be. What a deceptive calling. I knew it was a lie the moment I heard it, obviously. But it is intriguing nonetheless. Fascinating. What they have become. Bittersweet, but fitting. How can I resist a promise such as this? You may not recognize me at first, but I assure you, that's still me. I always come back.
Well, the Phantom Animatronics. Purple Guy, after 30 years in a Springlock suit, unable to die, he would finally be able to move. He would become Springtrap and go get his Spring Cupcake and create hallucinations by sound called Phantom Animatronics, who are Phantom Freddy, Phantom Chica, Phantom Foxy, Phantom Mango, Phantom Balloon Boy. All the Shadow Animatronics would work again for Purple Guy, who would try to get remnants and dark remnants for the toy animatronics. And the Biddy Babs, the Minarina's psychic friend Fredbear, and from the Shadow Puppet, Shadow Balloon Boy. He would need all the remnant to bring his family together again. Fazbear Fright. Springtrap would find an abandoned place in an amusement park and use it as a base to remake his family. He would put his son's dead body in a robot suit with remnant in a box. Puppet would find Springtrap and pretend to be Phantom Animatronic because becoming Phantom Puppet. And Puppet would spy on Springtrap and see what he's doing. A man named Phone Dude would see Springtrap and would turn the place into Fazbear Frights. It would be about an urban legend about Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, since it was an amusement park. Phone Dude realized that the story about the evil animatronics might be true because he saw Springtrap becoming a lot violent. He would need someone to check on the place if it's safe. The Fire of 3. Michael would go to Fazbear Frights in search for his father, Springtrap. Springtrap didn't want to kill his son, so he sent the phantoms to scare him away. But Michael wouldn't find his father and still try to end stay. So Springtrap had no choice but to send the shadow animatronics or kill him himself. Puppet would stop Springtrap and try to set the place on fire but failed. Michael would help Puppet and try to light the place on fire. Springtrap would try to explain that he wanted to save their family, but Michael didn't care. He only wanted his father dead and lit the place on fire. Michael and Puppet would escape, but because the fire is the only thing that can melt the remnant, the Shadow animatronics, Phantom animatronics, and Spring Cupcake would die. This is later known as the Fire of the Three. All the remnants of the Dark Remnants that Springtrap worked so hard to save, his family, would all melt, and the fire would melt the remnant inside of Springtrap, then would burn him inside out. He would lose an arm. This would make Springtrap in pain and enraged. He couldn't believe his own son would do this to him. With nothing left, he only wants his son and Henry Emily dead. Okay, so this is the characters again. Last chapter. The end. Henry Emily. Henry Emily realized that it was William that had killed his daughter, and it wasn't his fault. He would later have an idea. He would create the Rockstar animatronics and Lefty to capture Puppet, his daughter. He would later buy animatronics by my copy restaurant called the Mediocre Melodies, and others that was created by Phone Dude. Henry was so desperate that he would go dumpster diving, creating animatronics called the Trash and the Gang. He would find Funtime Chica and Music Man and would create mascot that helps called Helpy and Hand Unit in Afton's lab, turning him into Tutorial Unit. Now everything was complete, he would create RASC to attract the other remaining animatronics and burn the restaurant down, because Remnant is only destroyed by fire. He would later find someone to take control of the place, because Henry couldn't do it by himself because he's literally so old. Like, he's literally a dinosaur at this time.
I always come back.
Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. Michael would find a job and hope to stop his father. Zoe takes control of the place. He would fight his father, Scrap Trap, his sister, Scrap Baby, his mother in Bolton Freddy, and a puppet in Lefty. That there was the help. This was helped by Henry and Hand Unit, who is now Tutorial Unit, and Helby. He would freak them down to burn them in place down and kill all the animatronics in there, and Henry would stay and burn himself because he had no purpose anymore. William was finally at peace. I mean, not peace, he's just dead. But if this was truly the end, Michael can finally rest, and he would stay and burn himself alive to rest.
You played right into our hands. Did you really think that this job just fell out of the sky for you? No. This was a gift for us. You gathered them all together in one place, just like he asked you to. All of those little souls in one place, just for us. A gift. Now we can do what we were created to do and be complete. I will make you proud, Daddy. Watch, listen, and be full.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth, if you still even remember that name, but I'm afraid you've been misinformed. You are not here to receive a gift, nor have you been called here by the individual you assume, although you have indeed been called. You have all been called here, into a labyrinth of sounds and smells, misdirection, and misfortune. A labyrinth with no exit, a maze with no prize. You don't even realize that you are trapped. Your lust for blood has driven you in endless circles, chasing the cries of children in some unseen chamber, always seeming so near, yet somehow out of reach. But you will never find them. None of you will. This is where your story ends. And to you, my brave volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you. Although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want. I have a feeling that you are right where you want to be. I am remaining as well. I am nearby. This place will not be remembered, and the memory of everything that started this can finally begin to fade away, as the agony of every tragedy should. And to you monsters trapped in the corridors, be still, and give up your spirits. They don't belong to you. For most of you, I believe there is peace, and perhaps more, waiting for you after the smoke clears. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, old friend. My daughter, if you can hear me, I knew you would return as well. It's in your nature to protect the innocent. I'm sorry that on that day, the day you were shut out and left to die, no one was there to lift you up into their arms the way you lifted others into yours. And then, what became of you? I should have known you wouldn't be content to disappear. Not my daughter. I couldn't save you then, so let me save you now. It's time to rest. You and for those you have carried in your arms. This ends, for all of us, in communication.
The end. The one you shouldn't have killed. Although William was finally dead, Cassidy, who was still there, created a place with the help of Old Man Consequences, where William is a security guard in every restaurant and that he and Henry ever created. And all the animatronics would kill him over and over and over and over again. So here's basically the characters. The end. End?
You may not recognize me at first, but I assure you, that's still me. I always come back.
Well, that's just a theory. A game theory. Although it is done, and I had theories that are still unconfirmed, I was not sure that the origins of the Shadow animatronics, the endoskeletons, Phone Dude, the origin of the Wither animatronics, the origin of Remnant, Paper Pals, how Springtrap needed all the Remnant for his family and others. But I needed the lore to make sense, so I had to make these theories. I'll make a second one once the next timeline is confirmed. Okay, thank you and goodbye. Goodbye and thank you for listening to this 70-page single presentation. Stay safe around people in yellow rabbit suits. Now I'll go touch grass.